What's up, everybody? It is the Best Podcast Move, and I'm back with another video. And today, I'm finally reviewing Star Wars Outlaws. Yes, I just finished up my full playthrough, and I missed the review embargo, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. I wanted to review the game after I've completed the game, so shout out to Ubisoft for providing me with access to the full game to allow me to give early access to the game, play it, indulge in it, and pretty much give you guys my opinion of it. I was able to stream some of this thing a day or so ago, and have a total of maybe 40 hours in the game, and I'm going to give you guys my raw, uncut, unedited view of the game and what I think. And I want to get straight to the point. I don't like make you guys wait for a build up or some dialogue monologue, give you this whole synopsis of the story. What we're dealing with is Ubisoft's take on the Star Wars franchise. We know EA has had access to this game with the Jedi series and the Star Wars Battlefront series. We know other studios have had access to this game. Ubisoft literally put together the first open world Star Wars campaign, inspired by the likes of, instead of playing a Jedi, you play like a character such as like Han Solo. Now, you play as Kate Vess. She is no Han Solo by any stretch of the imagination, but she is a good substitute. All in all, it is a open world action stealth game, and I say that because when you're in an open world, it's just it's an open world game. But when you're doing your mission, mission to mission style gameplay, it is quote unquote a stealth game. It's a stealth game at heart, and I think that's what a lot of people would appreciate about this game. You know, those who are a fan of Splinter Cell and Metal Gear, or those who are just missing a traditional stealth related game. This is going to, I think, satisfy that need. If you're a fan of Star Wars, you may like this game, you may hate this game. And the reason why I say that is because it depends on, like, for example, a lot of people, I think there was a show on maybe Netflix or Amazon. There's this new Star Wars show that people have been hating on. I will say, as a video game, Outlaws is more so closer to that. And I say that because as a game, it's a really good game, but it does have heavy Western influence, a lot of unnecessary agendas in the game. When you consider what Star Wars is and the fact that it's a fictional story based on fictional planets, you're not tied down, or you don't have to satisfy the influences of Western culture. You don't have to satisfy the influences of inclusion, because you're dealing with aliens, you're dealing with planets, you're dealing with stuff that isn't associated with America. And I think the creatives over at Massive Studios kind of lean too heavily into the Western culture, and it's heavily in this game. And some may like it, some may not. And for me, as a fan of the game, I'm not a fan of Star Wars, believe it or not, but I have enough history in it. As a fan of the game, I'm not a fan of the story beats. And because of the decisions they make, I'm not a fan of the characters. I wasn't able to connect with, whether it's the main characters, side characters. I do think they did a decent job with the story. Nowadays, I feel like it's difficult to make a bad story, and I feel like this story is passable. Nothing's wrong with the story. I think they did a good job with that. They delivered pretty well with the story they're telling. It's not like your typical save the world campaign. Kay Vess is I was about to swear, but she's a thug, she's an outlaw, she's a bandit. And in other video games, you would be shooting at this type of character. She's a bandit, she's an outlaw, she's a thug. So her claim to fame, her whole quest is about pulling off the biggest heist. So it's like, I actually like that take, because you don't usually get that. I do appreciate the deviation for what you usually get. Captain saves the world. Let's save the, you're met with choices. And Star Wars Outlaws, you're at the end of the day, your primary quest is to pull off one of the biggest heists ever. You are met with, choices. You got your, it is choice, driven. with the syndicates. They added a lot of cool things in this game. I'm a big fan of the stealth mechanics. I'm a big game of the action in the third person action mechanics. But the game is pretty limited, right? It's an open world game, but it's not Star Wars GTA, right? So Kate is limited to like a couple things. She's limited to her specific ship. She's limited to her specific speeder. Even though you will come across of like things like other like vehicles in a game, you'll come across animals that can be mounted by other, AI in the game. Kay can only mount her speeder, but like when you're in an open world game, you're thinking you can mount almost anything that can move, and you'll see other creatures, animals, vehicles that can move, but you can't do anything with it. So she's limited that way. As far as the guns, Kay, it works like the game Control. Kay has her service weapon, her blaster, which can be upgraded in many different ways and serve many different purposes. But her blaster is pretty much her odd go-to weapon. Any other weapon you come across, like sniper rifles, machine guns, or grenade launchers and whatnot, those aren't like primary weapons. These are weapons you could temporarily hold until they run out of ammo. Once you run out of ammo, she tosses it away and she goes back to her blaster. They're not weapons that you can pick up and upgrade through time. She only has one weapon for that, and that's her standard firearm. But I didn't have a problem with that. I feel like this game played like a traditional third-person action game. Some people ask me what would I compare it to in any other universe. And I honestly, the first game I think of when I consider Star Wars Outlaws is imagine Uncharted 4 with just heavy stealth. It does play like Uncharted a lot, whether it's some of the shooting mechanics, the climbing mechanics, the combat itself. I think was inspired by Uncharted 4. The game, but as far as like overall, I feel like it's like pretty much Star Wars meets Splinter Cell meets Uncharted, and at the end of the day, you get a good package. It was a fun experience, a fun game to play. I enjoyed doing some of the missions. This is probably, it's almost like, to me, it feels like the least Ubisoft type game. Now, as far as people, we want to talk about the visuals. Yes, clearly there's a downgrade here, but visually they do things pretty well. Game was built with ray tracing in mind. Ubisoft mastered the performance mode for these current gen consoles. They have a performance mode, they have a 40 FPS cinematic mode, and then you have your standard quality mode at 30 FPS. I play mostly in the 40 FPS mode and the performance 60 FPS mode. I've also been going back and forth between the 21:9 aspect ratio with the black bars and the full screen aspect ratio. I just think the 21:9 gave it like a better look. And people ask me, man, like, would I recommend the game? And personally, I would recommend the game. I won't recommend it honestly for like a early playthrough. I don't want you to spend $100, $120 on that. I wouldn't never suggest anyone do that. But it is a good game, worth checking out, especially this year. To me, I feel like this year doesn't have a lot of marquee games. I do feel like Outlaws is one of the games you should play this year. Sure, it has its flaws. I didn't experience some of the bugs that other people experience throughout that I seen on Twitter/X, but my biggest issues was more so related with the Western culture that they kind of forced into this game. I didn't really appreciate it well. I feel like it was unnecessary, and it didn't need it. It didn't add any value to the story. It didn't add any value to the experience at all. And it was just there just to say, hey, look at us. We're doing this. We're catering to this crowd. And I think that might have hurt the game. But as far as a video game itself, I definitely appreciate what Massive and Ubisoft and Lucasfilms games put together. I think Kay Vess is a good character. She gives me Aloy vibes from Horizon Zero Dawn. Very masculine, lot of masculine women in this video game for some reason, but she's very masculine, very kind of like she-man, woman hero vibes. But I didn't mind it because I do think the story is a deviation for what we usually get. I feel like the stealth aspects helps a lot. It's a fun game to play. I'm still actually playing it. Looking forward to the downloadable content that they have coming in, future expansions, and even a potential new game plus if they add it. Unfortunately, at the time of this review, a new game plus is missing from this game. A couple of low points is there's a lot of mechanics they introduced to this game, and some of those mechanics become a requirement to progress, such as playing the Sebek card game. That's their card game. It's decent. Some people like it. I'm personally not a fan of it, and didn't like that I had to essentially play through a Sebek game to progress the game. There's also a lot of kind of samey missions. Now, the things that do occur from typical Ubisoft games is contracts, just live events that just randomly happen. I do think it does get busy fairly quickly. And it could be a little bit hard to follow just the main quest because you run across things. There's a lot of verbal cues. You can easily pick up side quests and jobs and stuff like that. And a lot of these things don't support the story at all. They're just kind of just there to fill out the world. But overall, I think they did a decent job. Star Wars or Outlaws I had a lot of fun with. No, it's not like my personal game of the year, but I did enjoy playing it. I did have a lot of fun with. There was one particular moment that I wanted to comment on, especially with the factions. I think they did a good job with the faction system. It's not like a lot of these open world games have like little factions or syndicates that you have to work for. You build your rep. Star Wars, they take it to another gear where you play. You can do favors for a faction. And it will improve your reputation with them, but it may hurt your reputation with another faction because a lot of these factions have you do things that are set to hurt another faction that you might be working with. And I've worked myself down to like the lowest possible rank for a faction where they sent out, hunters to come and get you at any point given time. And one of the aspects I was doing a regular side quest, not a main quest, not a unscripted side quest, where I had to infiltrate a base camp of a syndicate that I actually had a positive reputation with. So I couldn't get caught because I didn't want to ruin the relationship. So if I kept, so I had to kind of go in stealth. But one of the under syndicates were on a hunt for me. So they took that opportunity to infiltrate the area where I was at in the middle of a mission. And they got into a gun battle with that syndicate, which ultimately allowed me to finish the quest undetected because the people that I was trying to sneak by were too busy fighting the syndicates that were looking for me. And I thought that was an epic moment, and I got to give Ubisoft massive credit for that.
Let's see here.
If I had to give a score for this game, man, Star Wars Outlaws, I think Metacritic at this point is probably at the same point. I think it's landing at around like a 77. Again, like I said, the game has its flaws. The disappointments are, yeah, there was a visual downgrade. There are some systems in the game that they shoehorn in that, you know, are less fun to deal with. And that the Western influence does bring down the interest in the characters in the world. I feel like they had the flexibility and the freedom to do whatever they want in the Star Wars universe, and they kind of limited to kind of cater to one particular crowd. But overall, as far as a core game, the gameplay mechanics, the graphics, the structure, the concept. I love the mission structure. I had a great time. I had fun, and I really can't complain. And I could recommend this game. If I put a score to it, this is definitely, I want to say a 7.5 out of 10 for me. I had fun with it. It's probably a sleeper hit, but I had a great deal of time with it. 7.5 for me isn't a bad game at all. I had a great time. Obviously, there's some obvious flaws that can probably be fixed with a patch, little bugs here and there. But I'm sure the story beat expansions are going to be amazing. But thank you to Massive Games and Ubisoft for giving me the opportunity to review this game, to play this game. I have over 40 hours into the game, completed the game recently, and looking forward to the expansions and new game. Plus, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And also, please, if you're interested in Star Wars Outlaws based on my review, go to Ubisoft.com or go to Ubisoft Connect and buy the game. Use my discount code KISSMOVE to get a little bit of a savings there, and let me know what your thoughts are on the game below. Thank you. As always, Xbox is the best box. I am the best spot. Good night or good morning if you're on the other side of the globe. I'm out of here. Peace.